their schemes against them, and you can drive them into a corner. Crush your enemies all at once. Show no mercy.
They're here! Reinforcements!
Rangers, follow my lead.
I won't hesitate to tear them down.
Both is good.
Hello, how's it going, everybody? So thank you all so much for coming through. We have an awesome conversation for you today. We have a panel of amazing guests. The topic for today is the Great Husbando Wars. And with me, going from left to right, we are going to introduce ourselves. So starting off with you, Ani.
Hi, my name is Annie. I'm a vampire VTuber. I stream on Twitch, I have YouTube, I have TikTok, I upload daily, and I love playing games. What can I say? That's it.
Hi everybody, I'm Paoberry. I am a YouTuber that plays casually, very casually gacha games, mainly Wuthering Waves and Infinity Nikki. I share gameplays, reactions, and all that type of stuff.
The lady of the hour, Ryyuku Sensi.
Well, I am the most beautiful lady around here, I think. Maybe next to Siren, I'm not sure. But yeah, my name is Ryyuku Sensi. I live in Japan. I cover mainly the Japanese opinion and perspective of things, as well as I also put my own perspective out there as well. I'm mainly playing Wuthering Waves. I play so many gacha games, but right now I'm mainly covering Wuthering Waves, but I also cover all the other ones, such as Genshin, Honkai Star Rail, Zone of Stone Zero, and basically anything that catches my interest.
All right, yep. My name is SleepySyren. I am your resident Husbando main. I play mostly Wuthering Waves. I'm an S6 R5 Husbando supporter. I believe in whipping out the wallet to support my tall men and the tall male agenda. Also a cosplayer, and yeah, I play mostly gacha games, WooWa, Infinity Nikki, low-key Love and Deep Space, but not as high-key anymore. And yeah, thanks for having me.
Of course, thank you for being here.
Hello, everybody. It is an absolute pleasure to be here. I am Juice. I play mostly Genshin and Wuthering Waves. My favorite gacha, however, would be Zenless Zone Zero, which I have a second channel for. And yeah, I just love gacha games, and I love men a lot. So looking forward to this conversation today. Lovely to be here.
Awesome. So I wanted to start this conversation about men off with women, actually, a particular woman. So one of the things with Wuthering Waves in particular that kind of caught my attention, and in some ways was a catalyst to this conversation, one of the things anyway, was in the 2.0 update, amazing update, huge update, and very much a revitalization for the game as a whole. There's a character that many people I'm sure are familiar with by the name of Zani. Now, why is Zani so important to this conversation? I recall before 2.0 came out, there's certain people who were digging a little bit into the leaks, and they may have heard a couple of the characters' voices, right? And Zani's voice in particular, there were quite a few people who were basically rating her voice relatively low. Like if you were to say Carlotta was a 10 out of 10, Zani was like somewhere in the 7 to 7.5. And so, I usually try to, take people's word for, a grain of salt, basically. I was like, let me listen to it for myself. After listening to it, I was blown away at how wrong they were. Like, genuinely, it's one of the best voices of the cast. And that's a lot. Like, a lot of the voices were really good. But I would, personally at least, I'd put hers, honestly, probably right beside Carlotta, depending on your tastes, right? Maybe you give it a 10 out of 10 or 9.5 out of 10 in the event that you're giving Carlotta a 10 out of 10. I was just blown away. I could listen to it all day. And so I was so confused at first, but then I thought, took a second to think about it. I was like, why did so many people dislike Zani's voice at first? And I kind of came to a conclusion that a lot of the reasons, not all of it, but a lot of the reasons were just because it was very different, I think, from what a lot of people were expecting. I think a lot of people were probably expecting a more, quote unquote, mommy voice, kind of like, a Kafka from Star Rail, or maybe like a Lisa from Genshin. I think that's what people were expecting. And then when they got something that was different, like wholly different, still good, but different, it kind of probably threw them for a loop. But I saw a lot of people like gravitating toward it. And just to be honest, the voice acting in 2.0 was just good all across the board. Like I know some people who were like JP only, who actually switched to English because they just heard it was so good. And it had that basically something that you don't really get when you're listening to JP only, which is those accents, because it's, for whatever reason, probably a little bit more difficult perhaps for realistically speaking, if you're a native Japanese speaker versus getting somebody who's actually from the region, Spain, Italy, so forth, so on. So basically the concept of something being different not always meaning it's bad. And I think a lot of people have some things that they're used to in the space right now. And when something different happens, they oftentimes end up being a little bit averse to it. Might have, like some preconceived notions or unrealized bias against. And so the reason why that kind of, you could probably see now where we're getting to right now with the conversation around men in gacha. And how just because, some people might want more men in a game doesn't necessarily always mean that that's a bad thing, just because it's not what others might be used to. So hopefully that makes sense. So with that starting statement, I'd like to get you all's opinion on what are your reasons for wanting more men in gacha. And I want to start with you, Paoberry.
So I have to be completely honest. I used to not care that much about male characters in gacha games, and I thought it was just me not caring that much about men. And then when I started playing Wuthering Waves and saw the male designs, I was like, oh my gosh, these look amazing, and I want more men like this. So for me, when I saw that, I realized I really did want more men. I love Jian's design. I'm pulling for Branch 1,000,000%. I just think it's important that we have a choice, because maybe it is true that most people that want men are women, maybe, but there is a lot of men that also want male characters, and I think it's nice to have a balance. I don't think it has to be completely equal, like the same amount of female characters to male. But right now it feels a little bit unbalanced, and not just Wuthering Waves, like in a lot of gacha games. I feel like men are kind of like fallen to the back. And maybe it's because a lot of people think that women sell more than men. I don't have that information, but I think I did see that it wasn't really as much of a big difference as people think. Like men do sell really well if they're like, strong and they have like an interesting personality and they look good. So I just don't see how it would be a bad thing to add more men personally.
A couple of the reasons why I would like to see more male characters in WuWa is because, well, obviously, I think they're hot. Very simple. I'm a simple girl. I like cute anime boys. I like the pretty boy aesthetic. And I feel like you don't see a whole lot of that kind of style of male character design outside of like JRPGs. So I like that. I like the way that they're designed in Wuthering Waves and in other games. So I'd want to see more of them for those reasons. And then another reason is that I think that the lack of male characters and the, I guess, dominance of female characters in WuWa in particular sort of breaks the immersion a little bit for me. Not that I'm expecting it to be like an even ratio at all. It's just that I guess I would hope that it would be a little bit or on par with Genshin or a little bit better than Genshin, but maybe not as drastic as, I guess, Honkai Star Rail. I would say that Honkai Star Rail, when it comes to releasing male characters, probably releases the most from what I've seen of like gacha games. But yeah, I think that the immersion is like a big factor to me. Seeing that Brant seems to be the only male character that we're getting in Rina Sita out of what, like 6 or 7 female characters that have either come out or are coming out. It's kind of a pretty big disparity in my opinion.
I would have to agree with you too on the whole immersion breaking aspect. In particular, I was playing, and at this point, I think it's safe to say it, because there were times where I had this conversation, but it was a little bit close to the story update. But I was playing Genshin, and shocker, I play Genshin. And in the Notlan story, there's a part where it's like a very serious part of the story. There's trying to like get you to empathize with the plight of Notlan and loss and all that. And I'm gonna be honest, I had a moment where I was like, this just looks weird. And the reason why is because you basically just had, like, this might sound bad, but you basically just had like 3 women characters basically representing like the saviors of Notlan. And it's, I don't know, it was just something off about it because, you know, the entire group of Notlan, the people, right? You had warriors who were men, right? Like the NPC warriors, right? You had NPC warriors who were men, you had NPC warriors that were women, you know, children, old people, young people. And what basically looks to be the saviors of this place that they are going to fight for them. And it was just like a bunch of, you know, like small, petite, and it's not even about the size of the women, but just the fact that it was just a bunch of women just kind of made it think, it just took me out of it a little bit. Like when I know, and the thing is they even have a male character for Notlan, it's like Kanish, which is actually interesting because like Kanish is the only male character that they released for the new since 5.0, I want to say. But he wasn't even in that scene. And so it just kind of, I had to suspend my disbelief a little bit to be like, man, this feels kind of off. It just doesn't, like, it felt very immersion breaking, especially coming from somewhere like Fontaine, where you had Nervalette, you had Wriothesley, you had Lenny, right? Even Lenny's brother, whose name is escaping me. No, what was it?
Yeah, Fremine.
Oh, Fremine. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. So like, it was a totally different shift. And at least from a storytelling perspective, because, I didn't even introduce myself, but you all know who I am. Even from a storytelling perspective, as somebody who does lore and story related content, it really kind of broke it for me. I was just like, I didn't intentionally think about that. I never think about that normally. But in that moment, I was just like, this just kind of feels weird. So yeah, I definitely agree with you on that.
There was a similar moment in Wuthering Waves as well in the, I think it's 1.4 or 1.5 patch update with the Some Noir Labyrinth.
1.4.
Yep, Some Noir Labyrinth. While you're playing through it, I didn't really notice it, but at the end when they had like their own Avengers Assemble moment where it's like you had the rover walking towards like to have the final battle and you just had all the other characters that you'd interacted with at that time. It just happened to be all women, all females, all girls. It was like,
girls.
it was like, okay. And the way they showed it as well was really, really odd. Like for all the ones that were like ragging on Wuthering Waves for being like the Gathering Wives thing, it's like it wasn't really doing itself any favors with that at all. It's like, yeah, not really the best visuals, is it? So it was, again, very, as you said, not that I didn't hate it. It's like, it's just very, very immersion breaking. Okay, we've got all these great characters in the world of Wuthering Waves, such as Jian, who's literally the general of the forces of Huang Long, and he's not there. You have these other characters which you could introduce, like you haven't really introduced at all. You could use this as an example, as a way to introduce these into the world, such as say Yuan Wu, even though no one likes him. I get it, but it could be just a reason to bring him into the story. Same thing for Kalkaro as well. He's there. Apparently, somehow you can pull for him, but he doesn't really exist.
We don't talk about Kalkaro. We don't talk about Calculator.
Yeah. So I mean, it was. I thought it would have been a really good chance to bring those other characters in, and they just missed that. And what they left us with was this particular visual, and it was again very immersion breaking. So there is that.
I'm a huge advocate for male characters in these games. You don't even know. Like it's just personal preference. I much prefer to play the male characters. Like the only time where I prefer to play the female characters is my C6 arena. Otherwise, I always go for male characters. I am also very much a simp for male characters. I think that One thing that kind of it really sucks about there not being more males in Wuthering Waves to me is that when they make them, they are good. Like when Gion looks amazing. I was so excited to pull for him whenever the game came out and everything, because I was like, wow, this guy looks sick. Like look at him, big general dude. And see, what I really like is how Wuthering Waves kind of offers a type of guy that I feel like you don't really get as much out of Hoyoverse games. Like the super like buff like cool dude. They don't all have to be like that. They don't like Shangli Yao is cool too, don't get me wrong. But like Gion, yeah, he's awesome. Kalcharo, yeah, he's awesome. So that's another reason why I think that from Wuthering Waves in particular, they just know how to make a really cool dude. So I think it's unfortunate that they don't capitalize on that more. And I just don't agree with the men don't sell thing. Okay, people loved Adventurine. People loved Sunday. I think Novelette, he was pretty popular too. It's if you put the effort in, if you put the effort into their kit, if you put the effort into their story, Sunday was hugely popular. I believe his Twitter likes, like, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm pretty sure his likes, it was on Reddit or Twitter, I can't remember, but it was more than Firefly. Like, people do care about male characters when you put the effort in. And I we have lots of women characters, they're great, and hey, my favorite Wuthering Waves character is Carlotta. Like, I do like female characters a lot, but I just think that striking that balance, like you said, it adds more immersion, it just makes things a bit more interesting, it offers another perspective, that's another thing, and it can show a different kind of sorts of struggles and whatnot. And I just think that there's just so much untapped potential there in terms of character designs. Like, and Brant is really interesting, because the thing is, Brant, he's not even really my type. I don't simp for him, but I still think he's cool, and I still think it's great that Wuthering Waves was willing to experiment with that character, and people love him. People seem to be really excited for him. So it just goes to show that Wuwa really does know how to make a good dude. So my TLDR, men are hot, love men, and Wuthering Waves make some really good dudes. Like, they, like, my top favorite characters in gacha games, like number 1, Lighter, number 2, like, Deventi, and then just some other dudes, like Adventurine and all. Like, I love men. I'm a big advocate for them. You get the point. You get the point.
Agree 100%. They can do a good man. Why not do this playable, okay? I just don't get it. I'm sorry, okay. Before starting this stream conversation podcast, I was thinking to myself during the morning, like, what does word attractive mean? What exactly defines how attractive the character is to the players, or what makes you, pull? It doesn't matter if it's male or female. What makes you pull for the character? And I got to conclusion that basically anything can be attractive. Anything. People will find, there will be certain group of people who will like the character no matter what, even if visually it looks like, I don't know, Murdoch from Warcraft. You got what I'm trying to say. But it's not only attractiveness what creates the character, it's also the story of the character, or how you as a player resonate with the story, or for the reasoning, the logic that character is trying to do in the world, in the action. For example, I really think that Brant is really attractive man, but sometimes some of his actions I think are unreasonable, at least for me. Okay, that's why I do not feel like I resonate with Brant that much, And I agree with your statement, Live, that it's about something different. Usually people are getting upset about things that changes, because when the game developers post 5 banners of a female characters, players kind of expect that the 6th banner is to be a female also, and when it's a male, they're like, what's going on? That's the confusion that appears in the player's head, and it's definitely a hard thing to break, a hard thing, to conquer. I don't know what word to use here.
Just basically.
So,
yeah.
Can I ask a question?
Yep.
Yeah, why is it that it's so strange, I guess, that Wuwa pushes out men, but it's not strange that other gacha games push out men, like Genshin and Honkai Star Rail? I feel like there isn't as much of a pushback in those games when it comes to men as there is in Wuwa. Have you guys noticed that?
That's actually so strange when you think about it, because Wuthering Waves first limited 5-star like was a guy, and like a really cool guy at that. So you would think that like because of Genshin, they set that precedent from the beginning. Like Venti was a guy, and he was the first banner, and he sold crazily. So you would think that would continue as well. You make it, yeah. No, that's a very interesting point there, actually.
And Jian sold very good, if I remember correctly. Even though the most sellable character is still Chen-Li.
I mean, Yinlin did sell more than Jian, but the thing is with Wuthering Waves in specific is that there was a lot of problems with the launch of 1.0, where there was actually significant issues with actually paying for currency as well. There was issues, just people they were trying to buy currency, they couldn't do that, as well as a lot of other technical issues, like optimization issues, where a lot of people that did want to play the game, they weren't able to due to like system optimizations, or like they weren't able to play it on their device. So they were like really kneecapped for the first 2 or 3 weeks, which just happened to be the first 2 or 3 weeks. That was Jian's weapon. That was Jian's banner, plus also the other thing with Jian's weapon as well in Japan as well. Yeah, and so basically once they started getting themselves sorted, then that's when people started being able to play actually whale for characters, which just happened to be Yinlin. But also there is a case of like Yinlin is also hot as well, but it's like it's not always. I want to just about Annie. Maybe I think you might be using a bit of you're misusing a word right now. Perhaps you're saying about the characters being attractive. I don't think it's mainly about attractiveness always. I mean, I'm sure that is definitely a big aspect of it. It's more about the characters being appealing. There's a difference between characters being attractive and a character being appealing. Like I could find this character not really attractive. Like I'm as straight as can be. I don't find any of these particular men like I'm not attracted to them, but they are really, really good looking. That's fair. But they are more appealing. Like when I play them in the story, when I play them and see what they're like, what their characters are like, they're more appealing to me. I enjoy them as characters as well. Like also it depends like what where they are in the world as well, like on what position they have, like say for example Nouvelette as well, an incredibly strong character, like one of the main people in the world of Fontaine, which is also a big patch update for Genshin. Again, we've already been talking about Jian as well. I really love the designs for Jian, and yeah, I do feel like when people say, well, they've had Jian and Zhang Liao and they didn't sell well, I'm like, yeah, but there were circumstances for that. Like I said before, with Jian, they had all those bugs and other issues. Plus with Zhang Liao, he was literally free. So if they're consistently, well, Jian was not on purpose, to be fair, but if they're kneecapping their sales for their male characters, and then they're using that as an example, saying, so see, males don't sell at all in Wuthering Waves. I mean, that we don't really know yet. We will find out with Brand. I mean, that's something that I think would be pretty interesting to find out. Sorry.
Argument is that I don't think Brand is actually going to sell as well as people think.
Me too.
I think he's also going to be kneecapped, but for the reason of people who want Brand already have the resources to guarantee him most likely and his weapon, and most people are like casual players. They're only going to go for a copy and the weapon, and they're going to be good. Like me, I haven't like done my major whaling yet, so I've just been buying the subscription. I've been buying out like the bundles. I've been buying the battle pass. So I've been doing like small, like little tiny bits of whaling ever since Zhang Liao's banner. Not major. I haven't pulled out the $1,000 yet. I haven't dropped a K on it yet. So just some minor whaling, just build up whaling. Yeah, and I'm at like over 500 wishes saved up for Brand, just from minor whaling and like playing the game. And I've talked to other people in my community. They're like, oh, I'm at like 300, I'm at like 400, just like saving for this character. So it's like, well, if we already have the wishes to secure at least one copy in their weapon, like what is incentivizing us to spend money on the banner, right? So like I'm one of those people who firmly believes that with the current rate that the men are coming out, they're kneecapping themselves in that people can be free to play Husbando mains, essentially, because they have so much time to save in between the releases. So
I agree with you, and I'm the same as you. I don't know how many wishes I have, but I have more than enough to get Brand on his weapon without spending anything. And yeah, I'm like, how many people are just getting him for free, and then it looks like no one's pulling for him, but they are.
Yeah, so I hope
really
that they look
Sorry.
at how many people pull for the character rather than like people spending money on the character. Yeah,
Siren, you're saying exactly what I'm going to say. Can you stop that, please?
I'm sorry.
No, but you are absolutely correct. Like, I was actually thinking about that as well. Like, whenever I hear the argument of like, well, this banner didn't sell well, I'm like, okay, so what happened before the banner? Was it like a meta character, like right before there? Like, there's circumstances. Of course, there are male characters which just don't sell well. I'm not saying that all male characters will sell well. I'm not saying that at all. I'm sure some do flop, but in saying that, there are also female characters which flop, like Kokomi. She completely flopped on her first banner. Same thing for Yoimiya as well. Yoimiya didn't sell that well at all. We have all these other...
Or the third banner.
Oh, the third, yeah. We have all these other female characters, but what it is, like the people that think that male characters flop, I think it's a bit of like just confirmation bias, like where they see a character, they don't really look at it, they just, oh, flop, 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 and they don't see all the other female characters which also flop as well, because that doesn't fit into their narrative. There's more to this conversation than people really give it a thought to. And it's just, I do think that the actual, the overall general narrative that's being put forward in the gacha space is really, it's two-dimensional, it's black and white, and people are not actually thinking about what it is.
Gray. Yes, 100%. Sorry for interrupting.
No, you're absolutely correct, Annie, as well. Like, I was looking at, say, Genshin being the probably the most profitable gacha game out there so far. I was looking. I can share this link with you guys if you want to look later on. You maybe have seen it before. Like, you look at down near towards the bottom. The least performing banner was Eula and Klee, the second and third rerun. Then you got Klee there as well, Kokomi, Yoimiya, and just Kaching, and then all these near the bottom and near the top. Of course,
between the first Klee banner and the second Klee banner, Klee was nerfed as hell by other characters. She was unplayable, basically. That's why no one was pulling for her on the second banner. Sorry.
And no, exactly. And the thing is, though, I don't know if we can just jump to this. It is pertinent to this conversation. People look at the same banner, like which banners made the most, and the banners which made the most would be Hu Tao and Yulan. Shogun, Raiden Shogun, and Ayato, Ayaka and Shahas, which is a lot of female characters. So people would say, look, they sold the most, so people obviously want female characters most. But it's like, female players also pull and play the female characters as well. And I think the reason why these banners are making so much money is because these characters are characters that appeal to both men and women. And there are some certain characters where there is a significant base out there of male characters which will not pull for a male under pain of death, and I think that's something that needs to be addressed. It's really, really odd that some men have that mindset. I don't know why there's severe hatred. I don't get it. Like, I'm a massive gooner, like incredibly massive gooner, but like if I see a cool looking dude, like some guy that looks like Solid Snake, I am, like Yan, for example. If Yan became playable, I am pulling for him because he looks so damn cool.
So can I jump in on this? That I think is really fascinating. So what is the thing that these gacha games are inspired by? Like, what source of media would we say Wuthering Waves is inspired by?
I think anime.
Anime, right?
Yeah.
What is the most popular genre of anime?
Shonen.
Shonen. Yeah, shonen anime, right? So I think it's just so fascinating that there's such this like adverse reaction to like male characters in gacha games when the top anime that these gacha games are inspired by are shonen anime, which more often than not feature very strong male characters. Granted, they do have some really solid female characters, but the most popular characters in anime are probably going to be men. So I just think it's so interesting.
As a main player, I'm sorry if I interrupted. The strongest dude is obviously the main player, but all the guys or girls around is like, you're so awesome, you're so wonderful. They like praising him. Yeah, that's exactly what we see in the Wuthering Waves. It's like the MC. It doesn't matter if you pick female rover or male rover. I'm not judging, okay? But yeah,
I play male rover.
Male rover's
I play
male rover.
the better one.
Yeah, I prefer male rover.
He has a really nice voice.
Amazing. Like,
okay.
to be honest,
That's the thing. Like,
Yeah.
people were complaining about Rover's voice, and I was confused at first. I was like, what are you talking about? This dude sounds awesome. And it's like, oh, y'all picked female Rover. That's why. You guys were getting for those who play in English particularly. They tried to do some improvements here and there. Shit's getting better, but male Rover, best male MC in Gacha, but that's just me.
You know
But to
what was
answer,
kind of confusion?
sorry.
About the characters. Like there's not a single man in Wuthering Waves who has a beard. I'm like, I don't know. In my daily life,
Yuan Wu.
Yuanwu has a beard.
I mean,
Slight, yeah.
We forgot.
one. Wait,
Yeah,
no,
he has a
it's a
beard.
little bit.
Yes.
It's not beard, you know.
Oh, not like a
in
long
daily
beard?
life, it's
Not
not
like a
bearded man.
Guan Yu type thing going on now.
I guess it's like a cultural difference. Maybe in the Asian culture, it's not like that common to have a beard. I don't know, but it's just
They usually are
kind of-
very clean shaven over there.
I mean, I find it to be unfortunate with the whole sales thing, because it's like, I just think that if they made a guy character with a really good design who's like the main character of like their given and not like the second banner, not like the side character, but if they like put their faith into a male character, I bet they absolutely could. So here's the thing,
Like a Sentinel Resonator.
came. Yeah, yes. They, you know, I would be so disappointed if 5 years in we don't have any male Sentinel Resonator. That would be terrible for me. Like, I think about it like this, right? So, Novalet 4.1, and he came right before Farina. So you would think that everyone, now granted, he was also busted, like powerful, but that's part of it. They gave him a busted kit. They gave him a great story. He was a central focus. I would say he is just as important as the Archon, to be honest, in his respective region for anybody who's played Fontaine. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
It's my, if you know the lore, in terms of like, I've been informed, and I'll just say what I've been informed of. Before the story of Fontaine, it used to be something very different. It actually used to be a very different sort of story. And for those who saw like some of the early leaks, even the map was supposed to look different. It was supposed to be something of like, to be honest, it was actually going to be similar, not directly, but kind of similar to how Wuthering Waves has like the kind of like the high society against the people type thing. That was what for Fontaine was supposed to be. It was supposed to be like, essentially you have like the rich and the poor. I think Arcane or something like that. And
Well, maybe Bellabog.
yeah, Bellabog, exactly. Bellabog, even better. And so, but those two were actually supposed to be kind of like a Bonnie and Clyde sort of situation. Where like the two of them were, so long story short, yes, 100%. I remember there were people thinking that Oh Boy was basically like the Archon. And in a lot of ways, he kind of, like he's the
thing is,
character of the game.
He basically is.
Yeah, even right now.
He's above the Archon. Yeah.
He is above the Archons.
Because of the Dragon Sovereign thing. I mean, I won't spoil anything for anyone who hasn't played Fontaine, but all I will say is that I actually think Novalet is the most important character in the Fontaine region after you finish the Fontaine Archon quest.
Oh, yeah,
like, definitively.
Easily.
Yeah.
Yes.
So my thing with my issue with the way that this is related to Wuthering Waves is that Ryyuku, I know how much you love Aventurine. Anyways, I know that his quest was
She said the word. Let's go on.
that video on Star was so good, but anyways, I'm getting sidetracked. But no, so with Aventurine, they gave him like an entire quest and put a lot of effort into him. And generally speaking, most people really liked him after that and pulled for him after that. So I think if Wuthering Waves had the confidence to make a male character and make them like the defining main person of that region, or even out of that region, they don't have to be Novalet. They just have to be the main person, even like Aventurine, just of that patch, even. Or okay, I don't think he was made of his patch, but he was still very important. Then I believe a character could absolutely sell well if they just put the faith in it. And in terms of the free-to-play, players of like the Brant debate in that regard, I'll at least be doing my due diligence and I'll buy a 50-pack on his banner. I know it's not much, like if against
I'm gonna go
whales,
crazy
but
on the banner.
I will at least do my due diligence. And listen, I don't even spend that much on Wuthering Waves. I renewed my Lunite yesterday, and I bought one Lunite a couple of months ago. So I'm going to make sure that Wuthering Waves sees that on my particular account, the first time I spent money is when they made another male guy. So, male guy, what? You get the idea.
Male guy, cute. As opposed to the female guys.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Can I?
So, yeah.
Can
I have 1,000 asteroids and a hope.
I believe.
Good luck.
I believe in you.
But just like commenting on like the, I guess, characters and their importance in the story and whatnot. I also think that like people are underestimating the power of meta as well. I think that if a character is meta defining, it doesn't matter what they look like or what sex they are. If their character that's often gets like recommended, I think that people will be more likely to spend on them and pull on them. Like the best meta defining character that I can think of is like Kazuha in Genshin Impact. I don't like the short men. I honestly think Juice is probably more of a male character fanatic than I am because I only support the tall men. But
I love all the men.
Kazuha is the most versatile character, like one of the most versatile characters in Genshin Impact, and he's great to have on your account. I'm a child mate, or I was a child mate when I played. So I pulled for Kazuha, despite him not being my type. I pulled for him to support my child, which sounds kind of weird to say, but you get what I'm saying.
Phrasing.
Yes.
I am so you don't know how overjoyed I am at what you've just said. Like, oh my goodness, finally. Listen, I get it. Waifu over meta, sure. Okay, then why is it that characters that are bad don't sell? Yes, why is it that it's bad characters that don't sell? Oh my goodness. Listen, I understand waifu over meta, of course, any day, or Husbando over meta in some of our cases, but generally speaking, you cannot deny that when a character is good, they sell. But why do you think that Miyabi is what revives Endless Zone Zero? Listen, I'm like it was because she was super darn good. Like, thank goodness that you said that. If they just make a busted character, then the people will bust on the banner. Like, genuinely. Yeah,
if he was not free, he would have been that character.
I would say that our current
strong. That's
our current character that I think is like meta defining is like Shorekeeper. I think that she's extremely versatile, and like everyone's gonna recommend, oh yeah, you should get Shorekeeper on your account, right? Shang Liao, I think that you can make arguments of, oh, he's like a DPS. There's gonna be other like future DPSs. He's like very strong. Don't get me wrong. Like, I think he's great, but I think that the versatility of Shorekeeper is what's gonna keep her being recommended the same way that Kazuha is always recommended for people to pull. The same way Zhang Li is always recommended to like change. Yeah.
I was gonna say that about Zhang Li.
Yeah.
I think we don't have enough like support characters overall in Wuwa. That's why Shorekeeper was so significant and important for many people to pull.
But also
it was either
buffs
or Shorekeeper.
Yeah.
Specifically support, because we have supports.
We have support.
Is a healer support, and the only other one that we have in the 5-star category is Verena, who's also, to be honest, insane because she's better than Shorekeeper in certain comps. As a free 5-star, practically free 5-star, you get like I'm gonna call her free because you get a free, selector or whatever as soon as you start the game. So I'm just gonna call her free.
To add on to what Siren was saying, I pulled for Zhang Li, not because I really wanted him, even though I do really like the way that he looks. I pulled for him because I'm not very good at dodging, because you can't really dodge. You kind of just have to run. So I was like, I need this guy. So I pulled him because he was like a really good unit that I could just pop on anywhere and then relax as I play, pretty much. So yeah, I think a character that's super versatile and like helpful, I think people will pull for them. And also, I don't know how popular of an opinion this is, but I also think personality helps to sell characters as well. Like, for example, I wasn't super crazy about Ling Yang's design, to be honest. It's not like I don't like it or like it. It's kind of like, yeah, he's fine. He's kind of cute. And then when I did his storyline, I was like, oh, he's such a sweetheart. Like, I actually like this character now, and like I'm enjoying using him. So I think giving them like interesting personalities might help also make them more likely to catch people's attention. Like, I think Alto's personality is like super fun and amazing. If there was like a 5-star like him, I would have pulled just for the personality, probably.
I think I would say Brant is very similar to Alto, honestly.
I think so too, a little.
Yeah.
The thing about it is, I want to kind of speak on the whole, one of the things that Brent, to be honest, Brent does a lot of things well. Now, I'm just going to put this out there. I've heard this. I don't know if it's 100% true. We had the live stream, so I think it's almost safe, so I'll just be general. There's people talking about the fact that Brent is actually going to be a really good character for someone like, and basically looking at the likely boss, which is the dragon, right? Like, it's just the likely boss that is going to end up being you're farming for Brent, right? It has fusion, all that stuff, and even if you read the description, it's kind of a supportive sort of kit.
Oh no, they said support. They said it in the live stream. It's definitely support.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah,
So it's a
fusion skill, I think.
I think they even posted on the news website or thingy.
And so
This
basically,
kid.
We have enough to go on, don't worry.
yeah. So basically, the point is, Chang Li is considered one of the most popular characters in Wuthering Waves.
She's the most popular.
Oh, she is the okay. Thank you. She's literally the most.
She's
popular.
the most sellable, the most revenue character.
Yep, she was
in
considered the most
whole
attractive,
time of
like
Wuwa.
a bunch of polls and things like that. And so I thought it was very smart of them to basically make the character Brant be a support, essentially, to the most popular character in the game. So I think that's one thing that's already going to be in his favor, because a lot of people are going to have Chang Li. So therefore, hey, do you want to have Chang Li's best team? Get Brant. On top of the fact, like we were saying, just to go back.
Don't you kind of think that it's unfair that they put it like together?
Unfair.
So Chen-Li can basically overshadow Brand, and like everyone will be pulling for Chen-Li, not for
Or
Brand.
is
Or
it
so I can
creating
actually answer your
pressure?
Pressure.
Yeah.
But they do that all the time with other characters. I don't think that that's. So first of all, you have to remember the fact that he's a support is actually in his favor, because that means that
He will be more universal.
Yeah, he's going to be on Chang Li's team, but he's also going to be on the next.
I would love to
team as well.
Comment on this. I actually do meta analysis. That's kind of like the main thing I do. So I can actually tell you something. Now, obviously, we don't have much to go on because we've only had the confirmed live stream. But based on just kind of some back and forth that I've had with Furycraft, a friend of mine, and just looking at like in-game like sets and stuff, and based on what we do know, now here's the interesting thing: Brant doesn't actually need Chang Li. You can use him as a replacement for Chang Li. So, for example, in a team like Chang Li Encore, you can instead put Brant in there, and it will work just fine. So Brant doesn't have to play with Chang Li. You can very much get Brant on his own, and then Brant can exist as his own entity. Now, is it best his slot to put him with Chang Li? Absolutely. They're going to be, it seems like they're going to be kind of like a quick swap team, Pacini Trevor, dual carry sort of team. That's just our speculation at the minute. But Brant can absolutely survive on his own. He really doesn't need Chang Li. And the thing is, Kuro Games, in my opinion, this is just sort of how they handle banners. If you take a look at Shang Li, Yao Yinlin, those two work very well together. They ran them together. Then there was Jojo with Carlotta. They ran them together because they are best in slot with one another, assuming you're playing Hypercarry Carlotta. So, yeah, I believe that the game gives like quite a lot of pulls and whatnot. So, assuming, hypothetically, let's say that you're someone who's joining the game for Brant, if you do all the content from there up until Renacita, you'll definitely have enough to get both, even if you assume worst case luck, assuming that you do explore the map and stuff. But that obviously not everyone's a new player, so that's just assuming, you know, you're starting out. But it's
What about Jinshi and Roche combination banner?
That
They
was a
don't work
mystery, to be
together?
honest. That
That
was an
was
absolute
completely
mystery.
yeah.
But I think that was just because they need. There's okay. I know that I've got, anytime I call Roshia bad in the video, I get a lot of pushback. I still think she's bad. I'm sorry. And I think the reason why they put Roshia with Jinshi is because Kuro themselves knew that Jinshi, that Roshia was not really going to sell that well. Because I mean, maybe she did. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. So Jinshi was just kind of like, oh, this character is literally one of the best DPSs in the game. Excellent failsafe if people don't care about Roshia. So.
Yeah, there was a thing that was going around saying, Roche Banner sold really, really well in Japan. I was like, no, it was during that time period, but it wasn't Roche that sold. It was Jinshi for sure. Jinshi is literally the biggest nuker in the game. She's like the strongest character if you can. Yes, everyone was looking forward to. I've been looking at which characters JP specifically, because that's what I cover. Were looking forward to, and Rochi was down right at the bottom when they were releasing the drip marketing for Renacita. Rochi was down at the bottom. It wasn't Rochi that carried that banner. I've had people say to me, "Oh, Rochi is really popular in Japan." Like, no, it was Jinshi for sure. I'm going to tell you right now that when the banner comes out for Chang Li and Brant, and just say, for example, if that banner does extremely, extremely well, the people that hate male characters say, no, that wasn't Brand, that was all Chang Li. Because they'll use the argument to say, oh, no, it was Chang Li. It was a rerun that carried it for Brand and Chang Li, but it wasn't the rerun that carried it for Rochia and Jinshi. Because these people do not know how to, like, have a logical thought in their mind. Not to say right now, they just don't. It's really, really odd.
Mm-hmm. So, with that being said, Kuro Games is quite intelligent with how they put their banners together in that regard. So that's why they're putting Changli and Brant together, because ultimately my hypothesis is that they will be best installed together. We'll have to obviously wait and see for that and test it and whatnot. But the nice thing is that both of those characters, even Changli is a character that doesn't really need Brant to work. You can play Carlotta quick swap, you can play Changli Yao quick swap, and all sorts of teams with her. And the same goes for Brant, because you can, if you don't like Changli, congratulations, Brant is a replacement for her. If you do like Changli, congratulations, you got a new best installed team for her. And it's actually quite a substantial looking buff from what we're assuming. So yeah, that's nice. Yeah, just wanted to say that. So don't worry, they're not locked to one another.
Yeah.
At least one.
And just, I have to put this out there because I'm contractually obligated from the Roshia Society. But as an S4 Roshia haver and soon to be S6, she's fun, okay?
Yes.
So.
Oh, she is fun. I won't deny that. I do like the playstyle at least.
I don't think she's bad. I just think
Mamma
she's
mia.
needed. You can basically just rock a Sanhua and get, generally speaking, a well invested Sanhua. To be honest, maybe not even well invested because it's just her intro. But you don't need her for sure. I don't think she's bad. But she's definitely not needed.
My issue with Roshan, why I generally don't recommend her, is just because the amount of limited pulls it takes to get such a minuscule upgrade or side grade
sure.
just doesn't feel worth it, you know? That's my main issue with her.
Sanhua is free. She's got I get it. But she's fun.
Fair enough.
But basically, the point that I was just getting at, to go, like I said, piggybacking off originally what Paoberry was saying, is that because he's a support, he's going to have a longer life, which is great. Apparently, he has a life of his own already. You won't even need to put him with Changli. But on top of that, like I said, he's going to be able to go with Encore. You can put him with a future fusion character 9 times out of 10. So realistically speaking, he's in a good position right now.
Sorry, do we know the ratios? Like, I don't know if is that like
Ratios of what, sorry?
data available of like male to female
Actually, no, I looked
gacha players.
Again, it depends on the game. That's the thing, though. It's not actually just gacha players in general. It depends on the gacha game.
Right.
I found the most recent data I could find for Genshin Impact, for example, on the male to female players of Genshin Impact, being the biggest game, which of the most players, it was like 55% male, 45% female. So there is a massive demographic of female players that play Genshin
Almost
Impact,
50-50.
the most profitable game. It is almost 50-50. So with that amount of players that are both male and female, I think it's fair to say that no, these kinds of games are pretty diverse for both.
I think we got to conclusion that there are 3 big things that define the appealing of the character, not attractiveness, but the appealing of the character. First one is a visual representation, so how beautiful, and Brant is definitely a beautiful man. Second part is lore. I think he's very good in the lore of the story of the Rinasita, and he's significant person. He's one of the troop, the Fool's troop. Yeah, but I kind of feel like we can find out more about him, that there will be something more to talk, you know? And the third part that defines the appealing of the character is his kit and how he good as a playable character. And if he will be a support, he will definitely be appealing. So it kind of this part in the middle about lore, like he's mystery guy. There's something not said about him, you know. There's some sprinkles of information. So everything is kind of like good, yeah, but at the end of the day, I don't think that he would be a good sellable or a good revenue, like the best revenue sellable character. I don't think so. Because, again, players who play the game, they used to see like this female character banner, female character banner, female character banner, and when the next one will be male character banner, they kind of may be confused, may have some questions, and that will definitely let the revenue down. That will not be the best man. Even though I am the loyal man enjoyer, I will be spending everything I have on him. I will be supporting my boy, you know.
So one of the common arguments against male characters being implemented more in certain games is target audience. They'll say, you know, this is not the game for you. Go play Lads. Or go play Honkai Star Rail or something like that. And I think one of the things that Kuro did at the beginning, and not even just at the beginning, mind you, but even in the game Punishing Gray Raven, they've kind of created a space, especially with the game's launch, where the roster had a significant amount of men in it, comparatively. And so a lot of people were kind of going into Wuthering Waves thinking like, oh, okay, this is going to be similar to Genshin or Star Rail in that there's like a decent ratio, maybe like a 1-to-3 ratio or something at least, of male to female.
It was, I calculated it was 5-to-3, 5 females to 3 males. There were 10 females and 6 males at the time of launch of 1.0.
Yeah, so 3-to-5 then.
I did the ratios wrong. I was thinking females to male, but yeah, okay, 3-to-5.
3-to-5.
Actually, it's the same thing.
Gotcha. But yeah, so basically, that's kind of been one of the common arguments to say, the target, this game, you aren't the target audience. I've seen that as kind of like a de facto go-to whenever there are people in a similar space with differing opinions, basically. They'll just pull out you're not the target audience for this game. So either get with it or get lost, basically, because they themselves are the arbiter for who this game is intended for and who it's not intended for. And so with that being the case, let's hear from our good friend, Ryyuku Sensi. What do you have to say about that kind of argument? Do you have any words on that?
Yeah, it does depend, not specifically on gacha games as a whole, because I do not feel like gacha games as a whole are predominantly male-oriented, like in the sense of like, when people think, oh, that gacha games are for males, they think like ratios of like, say, 80%, 90% of gacha game players are male, and that does not play out. Like the numbers that we've found do not support that theory as well. Using the biggest game out there in this gacha space being Genshin Impact, the most recent numbers we found that have had a survey of that showed that there was a 55% male player base compared to 45% male base. So there is a majority, but it's not a significant majority. It's about 10% difference there. So it's a lot more close to 50-50 than people would otherwise believe. But again, I do understand the argument of like, oh, this is not the game for you, go to another game. But I think what them using it in the case of Wuthering Waves is a bit like misguided, because if you were using it in the case of, say, a game such as Goddess of Victory Nikkei, if you're saying, okay, if you go to that game, you think, why aren't there any male characters in here? Why can't I play as male characters? Again, that's not the game. That game was always set up from the very get-go as being fully female cast of characters that you can collect for, and that's as a premiere as well. Like again, if that's what the game sets itself up from the get-go, like this is what we are and this is what we're going for. Sure. Same thing for lads as well. If I want to play lads, I'm thinking, why can't I talk to a really hot woman? Why is it all these men? Again, that's not the demographic. That's what the game set out for in the beginning. But with Wuthering Waves,
when I was streaming lads, a lot of people in the chat were asking like, why can't I create main character as a male? Like I was like, bruh. Why?
It's a different game. Yeah. I mean, it's the same thing as well with Wuthering Waves. When the Wuthering Waves 1.0 was released, it had a ratio, it had 10 females to 6 males. And one thing I remember very, very vividly before Wuthering Waves came out, because I remember seeing a lot of CCs saying one of the great things about Wuthering Waves was the large cast of male characters and the designs of the male characters. I remember that very, very specifically. And no, the same thing. I'm pretty sure like Tectone, like a bunch of like everyone else, they all said it as well. And now when we bring up the it seems like there's a severe disparity of like there's not enough male characters. They're just like, I don't want any male characters. I don't want these boobs. I'm like, dude, you were literally the one people are saying that you liked the amount of male characters. Like, what's going on? I think some people are just thinking with their smaller head than their actually bigger one. So when it comes to this conversation, it's really, really odd because Kuro Games, another argument is like, well, that's just not the game that Kuro Games wants to make. Like, No, we actually know what kind of game Kuro Games wanted to originally make because we have the technical test, the CPT-1, and then obviously eventually the CPT-2. We saw the games that they wanted to create in the technical test and CPT-1. There was a significant larger prominence of male characters in that story, but it was a certain demographic, namely the demographic from China, that were very, very vocal. And when people say gacha gamers don't want to play with male characters, I don't think that's true. I think it's just China more specifically, which is really odd because the biggest spenders for Love and Deep Space are from China. So it's this weird paradox of demographics here. But when it comes to that, there was an outcry from Chinese players, from what I understand, that said, no, we don't want these male characters. Give us more power fantasy, OP protagonist, and then Kuro Games bent to that. Now, but should they continue with that? And as they have done with PGR, because they had the biggest spenders for PGR is also the CN player base, and there's ones because they spend the most and because they play the most. That's why they cater to that CN audience, not to the gacha audience. With Kuro Games right now, the biggest spenders for Wuthering Waves are the JP audience. Japan is the biggest spender for Wuthering Waves, closely followed by Korea, in fact. And I'm not sure, I can't speak for Korea, but from what I've seen for JP, they are very often crying for more female characters. Whenever I see the biggest problems that JP has with Wuthering Waves as it is right now, the first one is, of course, the beginning story, acts 1 through 3 to be more specific. But the second one, very close second, is the lack of male characters. Japanese players love male characters. Did I?
Sorry, what did you say? For female
You
characters.
said female.
They're crying out for male characters.
Sorry, I do apologize. My mistake. They're crying out for male characters. Let me just, I don't know why I said that, but they're crying out for.
Actually, with the whole shonen protagonist being the thing back coming out of Japan. And
I'm sorry for filibustering this conversation because this is something that I'm actually interested in making a video on this myself. The thing is, when people talk about the gacha sphere of things, like all these gacha games, it's just like all these beautiful women, it's just all women. That's just because you don't know, like, a fraction of all the gacha games, with the biggest spenders of these gacha games being in Japan. I've got a list right here of at least about a dozen other gacha games that sell more than Love and Deep Space, a lot more than Love and Deep Space, and they have nothing but male characters in there. If you just want to go through a quick list here, I can go Twisted Wonderland, Token Nambu. You guys probably don't know Token Nambu. That's massive over here in Japan. Ensemble Stars, that literally has done 2.5 times the amount of revenue as Love and Deep Space already. Hypnosis Mike, Promise of Wizard, Alias Rising Heroes, Idolish, Ikemen Sengoku. All these games are selling incredibly well, and they have nothing but male characters, and they're all gacha games with different types of games. They're not all ultimate games either, like rhythm games.
It's not. I don't think it's
talking about
all male, but I'm pretty sure there's.
I think there are a significant male, but I think there are some females in there, like Android 18 and other things. But these games I just listed. Yeah, but these games I just listed off are all male, all. Everything, every character in here entirely male, and they are making bank. And a lot of these games here, they just don't have English releases. So the other players outside of Japan, they're just like, well, of course they don't exist. No, they do. There's a massive market for it. You just don't know about it. And so the money is in male characters just as much as female characters. You just don't know. So everyone that says, "Oh, the gacha games is just for the male players. No one wants male characters," I'm like, no, I think you should shut up because you don't know what you're talking about. And that's my filibuster over.
Exactly.
I think one of the things that people will say, because people get very opinionated about this conversation, right? And I think it's very clear. I'm always the type of person who wants to try to build bridges rather than burn them. And one of the things that I personally like to kind of put out there is that I don't want less female characters.
Oh, same.
More male characters.
Exactly.
And I think that is very much possible to do. In particular, and I'm not trying to relegate all the male characters in this direction, but just generally speaking, more 4 stars. Like, adding more 4 stars to the game and making a decent amount of those characters men would also help with the ratio disparity, right?
2 birds, 1 stone.
Exactly. And so I think that's just really important. Now, maybe you all have a differing opinion than that.
Do you know that we don't have a single 4-star Spectra user in the game?
Not yet. No.
I'm just all for more 4 stars in general.
Sounds
It
like
just
a
sounds like
perfect
good
male
idea.
character. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, like I obviously would be nice to have more limited 5 stars because they get more attention, they get more marketing, all that stuff. However, I think that sometimes the 4 stars get a bit. I would say that's something that really helps, free to play players build good teams and stuff. Is 4 stars. So good 4 stars matter. Bro, everyone uses Sanhua. Regardless of whether they really care about her or not, she's very good. So I think more 4 stars.
Sanhua, Mortefi, and Danjin. 3 of the best characters in the game.
Yeah, they're all incredible. So if they made for example, you've got Jinshi, right? And she, let's say you don't have Yinlin, you don't have Joja, then you can use Yuanwu, even down at level 20 as a free-to-play friendly support. Does that mean that you care about Yuanwu? Maybe not, but he's a guy and he's usable. So if they just do something like that, I actually don't even think that's a bad idea at all.
I was just thinking, actually, Life, the thing about the 4 stars got me thinking, I think since the game launched, the only 4 stars that were new were both girls, unless I'm forgetting somebody, Yohu and Lumi.
Yep.
Lumi, yep.
Yeah, Yoo-hoo and Lumi.
So yeah, I think more males are needed both in 4 stars and 5 stars, now that you bring up that point.
Yeah, and if I can touch on the whole 4-star argument here, I will admit that after the 2.1 live stream, I did have this moment of getting on the ledge and thinking about quitting Wuthering Waves entirely, based on the fact that we got a teaser for 2 more female characters coming out, and I think that one of the biggest struggles as a Husbando main, potentially 3, we'll see what happens, but the biggest struggle as a Husbando main is that we don't know when we're going to get the next male character, right? We don't know who's going to come after Brant. We don't know how long we have to wait to even get that announcement for somebody coming in the future. And I think that that's the most painful part. Am I going to have to wait 6 months to find out that a male character is coming? Or will 2.2, will they tease a new male character? And I think that sprinkling in a 4-star male character between these back-to-back waifu banners would help I guess calm this, is this game ever going to appeal to me anxiety that I guess Husbando mains face with whether or not they should stick to this and stick it out and see if it changes, or if it's just really not going to be for us at the end of the day. Yeah. So
one thing, I recently had a post on Twitter. I don't know if anyone has seen it, about this exact thing. I'm not saying that I want more males in the sense of I want them to replace the female characters. I want them in addition to the female characters. Have all these female characters, these 3 possibly 3 that we can see in this latest update. Have these 3 and 1 or 2 male characters as well. I'm sure they can do that, but I think the problem with this conversation is that you are completely right, is that the ones that don't really care for male characters, say Siren and Juice WRLD, I'm sure you're fine with playing female characters, but you prefer male characters and you're not really that much interested in female characters. Same thing, there are guys which aren't that much interested in male characters, they prefer female characters. And there are some that I think are a little bit too sensitive. When we have this conversation, we want more male characters, they think that we're trying to take something away from them. And I don't know why this is a zero-sum game. There's no rule that says that you have to have just 1 character per half of the patch. Why can't you just release 2 new characters? I mean, it's more work for the devs, I'm sure, but they get paid a lot more. They get paid a lot of money. I'm sure they can fork out just a little bit more. The thing is, though, as well, they already have PGR. They already have a library of really decent male characters. They can just pull straight from there and it's male character right there. They don't have to do that much more in terms of creating and designing these male characters, kit-wise. They already have a backlog of them as well. It's really weird. People get so sensitive. They think that we're trying to. That people are arguing for more male characters. They when we say that, they hear no female characters, and that's not the conversation that's being had. And I think they really need to calm down and listen to what's actually being said. If I ever see someone say I don't want female characters in this game or no female characters, I'm no, you are wrong. You are completely out of bounds. That's not what's being argued here. Again, same thing for people against no male characters. I think you're wrong. I think we should be at an equal, relatively equal, a fair balance of both male and female characters. I think that'd be a decent position.
Honestly, I don't know what other people's like expectations for like their ratios are for male characters in Wuthering Waves, but me coming from Genshin Impact, I'm used to only receiving 2 to 3 like tall male characters per year. So it's like I would be more than happy if I only got 2 tall male characters in Ryyuku. Like I would be perfectly fine with that. I just want to know that it's going to happen or that it's coming. I don't want to sit here and wait and just wonder and it just like never comes, or it comes like 6 months down the line where I'm like, well, I just like was out here on the ledge for 6 months. Yeah.
So I think this is what I think. I think there's a guarantee that there will at least be 2 a year. At least.
I hope. Yeah.
That there's a huge update every 6 months, right? That they said that themselves.
Right.
Huge update. And with a huge update, you're likely going to get either 1, a brand new host of characters, or 2, a significant announcement of characters, if that makes sense. Whether it be, like I said, brand new host because we're getting a new region, or just a new, like I said, because it's 6 months, right? That means that likely it's going to at least be an expansion of a region or something. And with that, another evolution to the story. Because as of right now, based on the teaser that we got, that's going to take us all the way to May, I believe. Somebody like clocked it out, the 2.1, 2.2, 2.3, so forth, so on. So that's going to take us out to like May, which is essentially the 6 month line. After that point, we're going to either once again get a brand new a region or expansion to Ryyuku. And so at that point, I highly doubt that they're going to once again, like I said, it will probably be similar to Ryyuku, where it's just like brand new amount of characters to pull for, and there's likely going to be a guy in there, basically similar to how Brent is like the one for this first 6 months. Like I said, so I think if they keep at this route of like big update every 6 months, likely we'll at least get 2. At least I think that's a fair thought process. Obviously we'll see, and then like I said, if they implement some 4 stars or something like that, then we could possibly get 2.5, if you want to call it 3. But yeah, so hopefully that helps.
I feel bad to say this. If the next male character that gets released is short, like Ling Yang, I gotta get out of here. I'm gonna go. I'm jumping off the ledge.
I do actually want to tell you something, Siren, that might
yes.
That might give you some hope. So essentially, I was complaining to my friend the other day about the 2.2 teaser. I'm like, listen, this looks amazing, but I'm really disappointed that it's just there's just no men in sight even after the survey. However, what my friend told me in response was, don't be worried, because yes, the characters for the next few months are going to be female, and that's because they were probably planned quite a while in advance. And his assumption is that these characters take months to make. Now, Kuro Games made those character designs before Brent's popularity, before everyone was like, wow, look at Brent, he's so cool. So now they sent out the surveys. Now they have the information on how many people actually care about male characters. So let's be real, it's going to be rough for a few months. We are only going to get females for the next couple of patches. But afterwards, we're going to see the result of those surveys. And there's also going to be like Brent's banner sales and stuff. So yes, we do need to brace ourselves for a dry period. However, what my friend said about how characters take months to be finalized, they are probably cooking something. We just have to wait.
So what I will say is, I am absolutely willing to wait until 3.0 to see like what they're cooking with that. And my like only criteria really for 3.0 is if I can at least see 1 more male character. So if I can see 2 male characters, they don't have to both be 5 stars. It could be a 5-star and a 4-star. If I could just see 2 male characters get announced or maybe appear in the story as like, oh, someone's going to come down the line, then I would be more than content. Just 2, that's all I'm asking for. I feel like that's not a tall order, but I guess maybe that could be.
It's too many, clearly, Siren, obviously.
So I have a question.
2, that's all I want, 2.
So, Cristoforo.
4-star playable character when?
Right? Like Cristoforo, like, I think the dude looks really cool personally. I like
him.
I think he's kind of drippy. Yeah, like I could see it. But once again,
He would have to have a little bit of a glow up, I would think, because he kind of
so
has
too.
that. Yeah, he kind of has that like that borderline like playable NPC kind of look. But I think if he got a little bit more of a playable glow up, then yeah, I would agree. Yeah.
I want to say her name is Lilith or something like that. She basically looks like a magician sort of character. And
Yes. Sorry. Yeah.
yeah, so basically she was like a antagonist at one point. But then they made her playable, basically. She was like an enemy, then they made her playable. And I mean, she looks very similar to the jellyfish. The Jelly Keeper is what people are calling her.
The Jelly Keeper. Yep.
From the
That was me. I started that. Jelly Keeper. Let's go. That was me.
yeah, she looks kind of similar actually. If you look at their faces, they actually look very similar. But yeah, like I said, just Christopher, like I said, he could be a thing. So I would personally look forward to that. I'm curious just to throw an idea out here because who knows, maybe somebody's listening. What if how would you all feel if the significant amount of men, because like I said, this is a different game. The reality is this is a different game made by different developers. We don't fully understand how they plan to do things. They might do things very differently from what we're used to. How would you all feel if the majority of the male characters came out as 4 stars? Would you all be okay with that? Satiated.
Oh,
Nope.
not all
I would
of
say
them.
no.
No.
Not all of
Not
them.
all of them.
Not all.
I-
5-star is
Maybe-
obviously
What if
better quality than 4-star.
What if there's 2 5-stars a year and 2 4-stars a year? That's essentially how the
That's fine.
That's fine. That's fine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
or
I don't see an issue with that. That's
1
cool.
to 4. 'Cause
Okay, but 2 of them have to be tall. Okay.
As long as
Wuthering
they're
Waves is
good.
more of a tall type. You'll be
I would
fine. I don't think
say
Wuthering Waves
no.
will be a short thing.
Wait, who said no?
I would still say no because I think that 5-star is like generally more detailed, better, like in all of aspects than a 4-star. So it's kind of like 4-star is like a sale version of a 5-star character. So I would.
You and then Wuthering Waves, the 4-stars are pretty made.
Like
all of
usually,
them.
yeah, and yeah, not all of them. It depends. I think I would give them benefit of the doubt. I would give them the benefit of the doubt for Kuro for the 4-stars as well. Like I know I also play other games which their 3-stars have immaculate designs. I mean, female guys. I'm talking about Path to Nowhere. The designs in Path to Nowhere are incredible. Even the 3-stars, 4-stars, they're all so good. So it does depend on the company. Like if we were talking about Hoyoverse and their level of detail for the design of 4-star characters, yeah, no, I would agree with Annie. But for Kuro games, I'm willing to give them the benefit of the doubt on that one.
I'm about to say, because like I know a lot of people don't play Yoo-Hoo, but Yoo-Hoo's kit is very, very intricate. It's very intricate. She has
It's
a
so
lot of
clunky,
animation.
wonky. It's difficult to do. It's difficult to do correctly. It's like probability character. If you're lucky enough, you got the buff.
RNG character.
Yeah,
That's-
RNG care, but I'm specifically just talking about the care that they put into the character's design and animations. Like they're like that's an individual animation for every single thing in her kit. So the point that I'm getting at is making a 4-star in Wuthering Waves. The 4-stars in Wuthering Waves, even if you want to go to Lumi, for example, right? Like they do a really good job. So I wouldn't like for other games, sure, but for Wuthering Waves, I think that they've done an extremely good job of making their 4-stars, especially the more newer ones.
It may sound harsh, but what's the matter about the quality? What's the matter about the beautiful animations if literally no one is playing the character because she's too difficult to understand? I'm about Yoo-Hoo. Because she's so difficult to learn.
Yoo-Hoo's not the point of like I'm not trying to use Yoo-Hoo as like the
Sorry.
bring it up is just the quality of how well they make the characters because that was what the original conversation was about. Like the quote unquote D grade of 5-star versus 4-star. So the reason why I bring her up, and you can take her out of the conversation if you want, and just use Lumi. But the point is, I'm just saying that the 4-stars that they make are really high quality by comparison to other games that oftentimes there's a noticeable downgrade with their 4-stars to 5-stars versus with Wuthering Waves, their 4-star to 5-stars are actually like really well made. Basically, that's the only point that I was making. But
I think it,
Paoberry wants to say
I
something.
think I would like to see more 4-star characters to make the judgments. You know.
Fair.
That's fair. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just thinking when you initially asked the question about how would you feel about just getting 4-star guys, and I was like, oh, that sounds nice if they're good. But then when I really thought about it, I'm very against having only 4-star guys. And maybe this is just a me problem, but I have horrendous luck pulling for 4 stars. I have spent well over 100 wishes on Tauchi, and I know she's bad, but I like her, so I don't care.
Same.
But
I have
you
so
can
many of
literally
her.
pull forever
I would give
and
them
never
to you.
get it. Sorry, what was that?
I have so many of time. She just will not leave me alone. I kept pulling her so many times. I would give her to you if I could. Oh my god.
I'm so jealous. It took me
I
a
got
million
her
years
all
to
the
get her.
time. It was so annoying. I was like, will you go away?
I have that 6,
Oh.
5.
But yeah, we need 5 stars because at least we know we can get them at some point. With 4 stars, if your luck is trash, you might just never get the guy.
The one thing, again, I was going to say,
Yeah,
the
that
one
is
thing with
true.
Wuthering is that they do allow you to buy the 4-star, the new 4-star in the shop, at least one copy.
That's
So
true, yeah.
that does mitigate it. But like, yeah,
No, but I understand where you're coming from. I understand.
absolutely.
I would say that for me, probably, I'm a huge believer that anyone can enjoy any game if it's good enough. It doesn't matter if you are like male, female, whatever. You don't need a special organs that only males or females have to play the game. That's okay.
Yeah, very true.
So if the game is good, anyone can enjoy it. And for me, personally, the first and most important thing about the game is the gameplay. And if WoW gameplay is interesting and fun to me, if Love in Deep Space gameplay, the fighting, the combat element is also interesting to me, I would still play it, you know? But sometimes in the games, if like all the gameplay is rotating and around fan service, around, I'm not talking about any of the previous games that I have mentioned. If all the gameplay is about the fan service and about the girls that you need to collect, like, I wouldn't play that. Because I just simply do not enjoy the play style, you know? It's not about we need more men, we need more girls, we need more good characters, period, who are interesting and fun to play. I don't care if it will be more men or girl or lenient.
I think it goes to the conversation of like just why we're here, like at all. Like when we're playing, well, maybe some really more feel strongly about this, but me personally, building on what you said, Annie, as well, like I'm playing Wuthering Waves, I'm having a really good time. I really enjoy this game. I the entirety of it. There are certain things that I don't really agree with. Like I mean, not there's no game that's perfect, but like when I'm playing this game, I love all the female characters. They look amazing. What I'm saying is like I don't need male characters, but I would like male characters. I'm just expressing my want of like my desire for like I would like just a few more in there. Like I don't need them, but I would like them because there's a severe lack of them. It's like I love using my food analogies. I'll use a drink analogy as a proper Brit. If I have a cup of tea, this cup of tea is absolutely amazing. I don't need sugar, but I would like sugar. And the same thing, if I have too much sugar, it gets a bit too sweet. I don't really want that. I would like a nice balance of sugar. And that's the thing here where I come from in these gacha games when it comes to like Wuthering Waves. I think Wuthering Waves is a game which was supposed to be aimed for both male and female characters, judging from the ratio of male to female characters in the beginning and their CPT1 story and playthrough that they had. So I would like to have more male characters, and that's just all I'm saying in this conversation here, really.
But in different cultures, they put in different amount of sugar in the tea. Sometimes they like it very sweet. Sometimes they like it to not add sugar at all.
But this
and
is my opinion. This is what I would like.
Okay, and with Wuthering Waves, once again, I'm not a developer, so I don't know what they trying to do, what target audience they aiming for. But if they put in female character after the female character after the female character, and the rover is basically the savior, and they all thank you so much for helping me. I mean, I would think that they're trying to aim for the target audience of people who would like to be a female savior. You see what I'm
yeah,
trying.
no, I completely understand. It's those kinds of games is again building on what Siren was saying earlier about the shonen anime as well. Also, shonen anime is mainly from also shonen manga as well. Like there was a period in Japan where a lot of the manga was like that, and since it's roughly about when it came into the Reiwa era in the past 6 or 7 years, a lot of the preferences of Japanese readers and also viewers when it comes to anime have changed from that typical, very superficial, very surface level, perfect protagonist, savior to everyone loves them, that typical power fantasy type thing. And nowadays, specifically in Japan, and I also think in America as well, and also Europe, that there are people that want more depth to the character. If it does turn to be very superficial and very shallow, as you explained, which has seemed to go that route for the past few patches, like 1.3, 1.4, 1.5 with the whole rove glazing, but not so much in 2.0, which I really greatly appreciate. They're bringing more depth to this game. If they continue to have that depth, I should be fine. But if they continue to edge more to the shallow, superficial areas, then I would lose interest, because I'm not that superficial, I'm not that shallow. I want something a bit more meat to it.
So as a story lore enjoyer, and there's an important distinction between the two, I kind of want to shift the conversation, and it's referring to what you were talking about, but back to Brant. One of the things that I like about Brant personally, and it goes into this conversation around like balance and things of that nature, I really like that Brant he represents something, and Juice was kind of talking about it a little bit, I believe, Paoberry as well. Just, he represents, at least to me, the type of males that Wuthering Waves makes. Oftentimes in like other games, I feel like a lot of the male characters oftentimes have to have like some sort of I don't know if the word debuff is the right word, but there's like this balancing act they try to do where whenever they make a male character, there has to be something that makes them less imposing, perhaps might be a good way to word it, where it's just like, I think about characters, for example, like Ito, where it's just like, oh, he's a really strong dude, but he's like
absolute moron.
He's a himbo.
Dumbass.
A boy failure himbo. Yes.
And like, that's okay. I think that's cool. I think it's cool to have those type of characters, but it's just like, this is just me personally. I'm using my own experience, and I'm not saying that every character is like this, but you'll have a character like, for example, Zhongli, right? Really cool character, wise, all that, but he doesn't overstay his welcome, is my point. And I feel like I see that oftentimes. To be honest, interestingly enough, one of the few characters that, and to be fair, sort of doesn't overstay their welcome either, but Child is actually,
Oh my god, my man.
Child's one of those
Oh my god,
characters
Child.
where he is confident and he's not afraid to show it. He does not diminish himself.
That's my man. I love that man, guys.
But seriously though, like I feel like oftentimes I'll see that, at least in some of the games that I played, where that's the case, where it's just like if they're there, they can't overstay their welcome. They need to, make sure they don't overshadow the female character, basically. Like they can be cool, but be cool in that corner over there. And Brant, at least for me, I like the fact that he's a very confident character. He does not diminish himself. He takes the reins whenever when he's on the screen, he's gonna take those reins. He's like, hey, look, I'm here. I'm about to yell. I'm about to shout. Y'all are going to know, okay, you had your time to speak. I'm back now. Like, I just like that about him. And even generally speaking with the characters that Wuthering Waves, the male characters that Wuthering Waves has made, they've done that consistently, I would say. And so I personally think that is a really good thing for him. But like I said, the reason why I'm bringing this into the whole conversation of balance, you can tell a lot more compelling story, in my opinion, when you have these differing viewpoints. And I know that was kind of brought up earlier as well. Just like whether they be from the children characters, for example, like Encore's story quest was really cool. We got to get like a different view of the story from someone like, hey, yeah, we have kids in this world, and the problems of this world are being shown through these children. Like, these kids are orphans, their parents are dying. Like, you're getting to see that aspect. You're getting to see the aspect of somebody like Gian, right? Where he's like, he's a general, he's dealing with the loss of his comrades. You get to see the perspective of even like somebody like Jeja, who's just like trying to adjust in what seems like a post-apocalyptic world. And by post, I mean like it's after apocalypse. Now, you know, depending on how you feel about the lore, you can say, well, we're technically currently in apocalypse, but it's just not hit at the moment. But the point is, it's just like, that's why me personally, I like all characters. I like the adult characters, the kid characters, whether they're male, female, because I think that it creates a degree of variance that builds into a more, like I said, believable story. Because in a real world, there are, like I said, if you're trying to immerse us, and because that's the thing, a lot of people talk about like just suspending your belief and all that, and you know, oh, I go to games to escape reality. Not really. Like, unless you're like playing some game that's literally like an acid trip, there has to be some degree of reality to root yourself in, because otherwise you probably wouldn't enjoy a game that was about like a banana that becomes president and then gets shot, and then out of the wound shoot out a bunch of like elephants who under their ear is the secret code to life. And like, you get where I'm coming. Like, it's literal just nonsense. There has to be
It's so funny of you to say that, because majority, I believe, of the games that are popular, at least right now, is like realistic, having a realistic aspect. For example, Kingdom Come Deliverance Second, you know the game is known for being extremely realistic. It's difficult reality.
Yeah, and that's the thing, like, they have to be rooted in some sense of reality for people to actually take it seriously and for it to be believable. And so that argument of like, oh, I want to escape reality, I don't want to, like, not in the same way that you think. That doesn't mean that there can't be any semblance of it, because like I said, otherwise you just wouldn't take it seriously. And so I think that we all are made beautifully, and we all have something, whether, you know, man, woman, child, like, we all have something to add to, as Ryyuku Sensi said, enhance the experience. And so when I'm playing a game and I'm, you know, enjoying a story, like whether it be a gacha game or any game, having that aspect to it, like I said, it enhances the experience. And so that's personally why I would like to see more male characters, not less female characters, but more male characters.
100% agree.
Yeah, I wanted to say something.
Okay, go for it.
Because, I mean, you started talking about child, and of course I started thinking about child.
Sure.
But I think that Brant here is very much a, like, breath of fresh air comparatively to the current cast of male characters that we have, in terms of their personality, right? If you look at all the male characters, the only one who has like a personality that I would consider outgoing is Alto, right? Like, I want to say that Jian, Shangliao, they kind of have like a bit more of like a serious, like a bit more of like a maybe stoic, cool, reserved kind of like personality, whereas Brant is like very outgoing, very loud, very performative, in your face. So he just feels so different comparatively to the men that we already have, which is what I think is like refreshing about him, which is what I think also like brings back this element of immersion, right? Because not all men are going to be these like reserved, like
exactly
forest of green flags. Like, I'm sorry, I like, this is a hot take, but I honestly think that Jian's kind of boring. Like, I love him. Like, I think he's hot.
No.
I think he's great. But like, personality wise, I think he's not my type, right? I like guys that are a bit more cocky. I like guys that are a bit more confident. Yeah, maybe not a 4. Okay, listen, yeah. No, actually, you're right. Like, I do like my morally gray men who are mostly probably red flags, but you know, there's like a green flag that's like really important to them that they hold on to, like with Child. Like, he kind of has some red flags, but he really cares about his family, right? He has that green flag that he like holds on to, and I really like admire that he's willing to do whatever it takes to make sure that his family is okay. But you know, yes, he has his red flags of being like, you know, combat sexual or whatever, but you know, that's fine. And so I guess I appreciate Brant for having this sort of like outgoing personality. I hope we continue to see more of that, because I think that feeds back into this conversation of like things that are refreshing about characters. Like Zani is refreshing because her voice is so like down to earth. She sounds like somebody who you might meet, like on the street or something. And I feel like that's very it's like very comforting how realistic she seems in the way that she talks. And
you
so
believe her when she talks about things that bothers her. You believe her.
Yes, very believable character. So
like it feels like I always say like Zani literally felt like if I go to some new place, this is the person I would like. She talks to you like she's known you, like you've known each other for a while, and she's just like catching you up on what you missed. Like, oh yeah, like down here, you know, we can hop over to the spot. They have a really good thing. I wouldn't do this, but you know, up to you, right? Like,
yeah, and I like that she kind of keeps it professional with you. You know, she's not out here trying to like simp for us. From what I
like that as well.
It's kind of seemed like she
not
was
yet anyway.
Kind of like just a guide, you know.
She's not another wife. She's a girl.
Yeah.
And she lives in the world and she works and she's tired because she's working a lot. Yeah. I like her so much.
Agreed.
So, Brand,
can I
what you? Oh, I'm sorry.
No, Val, let's go.
Oh yeah, Siren, what you were saying about Brand being really refreshing, especially with this personality being completely different compared to like the other limited 5-star guys. Also, he's very different in terms of design as well. He's really colorful and stands out a lot. I think the other male characters are more like monotone or like darker colors.
Yeah.
So personally, this is like my cup of tea because I love colorful stuff. So I kind of hope that they make more guys that are kind of like this.
That's fair. And to be fair, I originally, and this is what we talk about, like this literally is going back to the point of variance, right? Like having a variety of things. Because I actually like the fact that the way Wuthering Waves was doing it in the beginning, with just like, I actually was enjoying the monotone. Now that doesn't mean I only want monotone, but I was enjoying it because I was used to games where the characters like very colorful. And so having that difference of like, oh yeah, I do like that there's like, you know, the blacks. For example, like even a character with black hair. That's like a personal thing for me. It's interesting because in Japan, I know black hair is like considered like one of the most beautiful things. Because you notice like in a lot of anime, the girl that they always call the pretty girl is usually a character that has long black hair. Like everybody has like colorful hair, but then the one that has long black hair is considered the pretty one. Right? Like it's just automatically, if they have long black hair, they're going to be pretty. And so seeing that was something that I was personally excited about. But I agree with you that it's also nice to have that, you know, that variance of color because so far we've had a lot of, I mean, you know, Jinjo is very militaristic, very scientific. So it makes sense. But then when we...
I mean, it's frontline. They need to be militaristic.
Exactly. But then we get to Ridasita and we get, you know, Mamma Mia. You know what I'm saying? Like we just, because the first character, I think she's the first character we saw, correct? Isn't she like with the teaser? I think it like literally started with her walking like along like a wall. She was the first, yeah. The very first thing we saw.
Oh yeah.
And it was just
in the trailer. Yeah.
Color, essentially. And so, yeah, I agree with you on that. Him being different in terms of color is also a really nice, refreshing thing as well.
Can I take another side of the conversation here? Because I love Jian. He's a good boy.
He is a good boy.
I'm ready to fight.
I like him too. I love him. He's great.
I'm joking, but
right? Like how y'all.
Yeah, I mean, he's just too good for me. I just need a man who's a little bit toxic and a little crazy. You know, that's my only thing. I think he's great otherwise.
Okay. Maybe I have seen so many like toxic men in life. I'm just kind of one.
That is completely fair. That's completely fair.
Okay, but that's a joke. I would like to say that I agree with the colorful statement and with the difference in visual appearance. And I like Jian. Don't get me wrong, I like Jian, but it kind of upsets me that actually Brand is more visually detailed, have more, you know, like small things on his outfits, have more better animation of his hair, better animation of his movement. And I kind of feel sorry for Jian because he's good, he's interesting, playable character, but slightly a little bit of tweaking, slightly a bit of adjustment, you know, would not harm anyone. I'm just saying.
I mean, you know, he's a new character, so that's you kind of come to expect like
Yeah.
you have to remember about Gian, right? Gian was made almost 3 years ago. Like he was like one of the first people that they ever made from the technical test. So his design was kind of already a thing. And that's one of the things I always talked about when the game first came out. I was like, I think the characters we're going to get in the future are going to be insane because I like Gian too. And he's also still a good character. Still fun to play. Like I love, being able to like knock people up in the air, dash through them, then stab back down to the ground. But I was just like, it's so crazy that these characters, even Yin Lin, these are characters they made a long time ago. So imagine, I was just saying that when the game first came out, I was like, imagine the kits that we're gonna get in the future. And then Carlotta comes out. And then it's just like, oh my gosh, this is insane. Like this character feels like, in truth, I always say like Carlotta, Xing Liao to a degree as well, but Carlotta feels like a PGR character. Honestly, she feels like she plays like a PGR character. And as we continue once again, I know I've seen people say like, if this is 2.0, imagine 3.0, just like, which is one of the things that gets me excited about the game. But like I said, I think Gian was made like 3 years ago, to be fair.
But even still, like I think he looks great. I think Wuwa is not missing at all with their character designs. Like Gian is the tall male Xiao that I always wanted, so I'm completely content with him.
Yeah,
Zhang Liao kind of missed it. Zhang Liao kind of missed it.
Yeah, Shen Liao he has a very pretty face, but yeah, his like
He's a K-pop
I want to say his fit.
His clothes,
His fit is kind of his fit's
I liked his older version.
Gion's a 10 out of 10. That's all I want to say. I think Gion's a 10 out of 10 personally. I love him.
I still like
He's great.
I would. I would.
Extra.
Oh my gosh.
I would.
I think.
Did I stutter? I would. Would. Top and bottom, I don't mind.
Whoa! Whoa!
Whoa.
Fair enough. Gion's great.
Listen, I would marry that man, but I know that deep down I just need a little bit more toxic.
You need a little scar on your side, I guess, is what you're saying.
I just need a little spice,
Fair enough. Fair enough.
I can
A little fire in my forest of green flags.
I would say that majority to the appealing of the character is also like on the shoulders of a content creator, so people who make like drawings, images, like animations of the character. I don't know if you remember Genshin or not, but the Xiao moment, the amount of Xiao animations, and that was a lot. That definitely created the community of Xiao enjoyers for sure. So I kind of want the same thing for Brand. I want people to like Brand. I want people to make more fan art, fan comics, fun stuff for Brand because he deserves it. He's a wonderful character. Yeah, and that's all I wanted to say.
Okay, because I'm not on TikTok like that. I'm trying to up my because I wasn't even sure if we were gonna have it in the US, but now we still have it. I thought I saw somewhere that Brant's been having like a lot of stuff on TikTok. Like a lot of people have been doing edits. Maybe I'm wrong, but I thought that I saw something about that, saying that like he was actually there was like a
little bit, but I'm not gonna continue.
Okay, maybe
I think that
person.
maybe when 2.1 drops, we'll probably see a lot more stuff.
Yeah, we'll see.
Right, coming
For
out.
sure.
Yeah.
Especially during his banner.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you all, I've talked about this before, but to give you all maybe like a little bit of hopium, just for Brent at least, I'm gonna give you all like a little taste. I have some lore videos coming out very soon, and one of the ones that I have that is gonna kind of be like a deep dive, I guess you could say, toward the beginning of the game. You all may have figured this out already. Maybe you have, maybe you haven't. But Brent, I would say, is probably one of the most knowledgeable characters about what's going on in the game. Besides probably like the Order, which are basically besides the bad guys, because obviously they know what's going on because they're the ones who are doing it. Brent is probably one of the most knowledgeable people in the game. And it shows.
He doesn't look like he's one. He looks like a goofy guy,
I mean, that might play into it because sometimes there are the characters which look goofy, but which are secretly geniuses as well. That's also a very common trope, so
I mean,
quite possible.
if you look at Alto, right? Like if you notice, like in Alto's trailer, it's a switch, right? Like when he's interrogating somebody,
It's a facade.
Exactly. Thank you all so much for coming through. I'm just gonna let everybody kind of say their quick, sign out, let people know where they can find you, so forth, so on. And yeah, so let's start with Ryyuku.
Yeah, my name is Ryyuku Sensi. You can find me on Twitter and YouTube as well. I do content mainly about the Japanese perspective, as I said at the beginning of this video. And feel free to find me there.
All right, yeah, I'm SleepySyren. Again, I am a S6R5 Husbando main. I spend all of my money on tall, pretty boy anime characters. So you can find me over on Twitch. You can also find me on X or Twitter, however you want to call it. And yeah, hopefully on other platforms very soon here.
Hello. So as you can you can find me on YouTube, just JuiceChanYT, and I just do Genshin Wuthering. You can see all that stuff there. I also stream once a week on my Twitch, so you can catch me there on Saturdays. And you can also find me on my second channel over on Juiceless, where I do ZZZ stuff if you're interested in that. So yeah, very, very cool.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm Paoberry once again. You can find me on YouTube, Twitter, and Blue Sky. If you like Woowa and Infinity Nikki, please follow me, especially if you like Nikki, because no one watches my Nikki stuff. But yes, thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. It was so nice to have a conversation. I like to yap a lot. I like to discuss different things. And you can find me on Twitch a few times a week. And I upload daily on TikTok and YouTube. And yeah, I'm also on Twitter. I argue with people sometimes. Thank you so much.
That's what Twitter's for.
Exactly. I love it.
And this life lessons NCNL on Twitch. All the stuff will be in the description, but do lore, story, and community discussions. Lore, story, and community discussions. So yeah, thank you all so much for coming through. Hopefully you all enjoyed the conversation. Hopefully maybe you learned something. We're able to broaden your horizons a little bit. Maybe think hearing some different perspectives, and maybe not even in this exact moment you might not have changed your mind, but maybe later you're thinking about something you heard and you're like, you know what, maybe I'll concede a little bit. Maybe they had some okay points. And so yeah, all in all, hopefully you all enjoy Brent when he comes out. The future of Wuthering Waves is looking bright. And yeah, I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.
Awesome.
Bye.
Okay. Hey, you. Do the thing.